everyone, welcome to another past tutorial video. Today we are focusing on ruler number 9, the graduated motif. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with just showing you how to do a singular pattern, and then we're going to build it up as we go along. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start with the foot down, and we're going to sew the whole length of the channel. So we've got a light touch on the ruler and a light touch on the material, and then we've got our sew slip mat underneath, which gives us that gliding motion. Once we get to the bottom, we're going to slide the ruler around, and I'm going to turn the material here so you can see that the scroll lines I've put on top of what we've just sewn, and then we're going to sew the whole way back down the other side of the channel. So we just need to put emphasis on these little shoulder sections here so that we get the nice graduated motif shape that we're after. And we just need to make sure that we are finishing where our sewing started, just so it all matches up nicely. So that is one individual graduated motif shape. So what we are going to do now is we are going to move on, and we're going to link them up together. So you would use this method if you were doing a coverall pattern where you needed lots of these linked together for the space. So it's the same as before, we're just going to sew the whole way down the first channel, again emphasizing the shoulders to get the shape that we need. But when we stop at the bottom, I'm going to show you these two scroll lines here. They've got the scroll lines on either side of the ruler. We're going to slide it down, put the scroll line on, and we're just going to continue that line. So we're going to be doing one side all the way down for as long as you want the pattern before we go back up the other side. So you could keep doing this for as long as you wanted for the length of the material. Okay, so I'm just going to show you here that if you just did the one line, you could use this as a nice border pattern as well. Just something extra for you to use. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start going back up the other side. I've put my scroll lines on, I'm emphasizing the shoulder points, and I'm just going to sew the whole channel again, and that will match up. When I get to the end, I will stop with my needle down, slide the ruler, and again put my scroll lines on, and just make sure the end section is where we want it. We want that right in the centre of the end bit of the channel so it meets up ever so nicely. So again, sew the whole thing, emphasising the channels. Okay, and that is how we link them up. So you can choose how many you want to link together. Okay, so that would be 2 there. And again, we can build up this pattern by doing another line. So if you emphasize this little tiny scroll line on the end here, you put that tiny little scroll line onto the one that you've just sewn when you're building up this pattern, and it just means that you can then have lines or rows of these graduated motifs, which gives that beautiful coverall pattern when we've got a large section of material. So this is just the exact same thing again. We're going down one side first. When we get to the end of it, we'll slide the ruler and do the second one. You can just match up your scroll line there. So it just means when you're doing a large section of this, you know that you're going to get those consistent patterns. It's going to stay all in line exactly as you want it, because you can just match up these scroll lines every time. Okay, and I'm going to turn the material so you can see what I'm doing, but you can just do this in one thread in one direction, so you don't have, if you've got a large project, you don't have to move that vast amount of material around. Put my scroll lines on, just checking that the end section is where I want it, and then I'm just going to do it again. So for this bit, there's 2 main things that you need to do. You need to put your scroll lines on, and then you need to check where your sewing that you've already done is. So you want the bit on the curve section, make sure that's in the centre of the channel, and you want to make sure the end section is always also in the centre of the channel, just so that they line up perfectly and they're not overlapping where you don't want them to overlap. Okay, so I'm just finishing up this last bit, and then I will show you what this looks like. You can continue this pattern for as long as you like, but it's very, very good because I have sewn 4 patterns there, but the negative space in the middle has also made the same pattern because the ruler is set up that way. So one last thing that I'm going to show you with this ruler, I'm just going to go back to the individual one again, and I'm just going to show you how you can build this up a little bit in a slightly different way. So I'm emphasising the shoulders there, and I'm going to put that central line onto the shoulders there on each side, and then I'm just going to sew, same as before, the full length of the channel. Okay. And you can see there that I did have my finger inside the channel because I'm near the end of the material. That just gives you a bit of extra stability if you're struggling near the edge of the material. So I've done one side, and I'm going to line the other side up, and we can double check it's where we want it because the shoulders are also on that line as well. And we're just going to sew the other side, and this just gives a nice little individual pattern, a little bit something more to it, a bit more of an extra design, a bit more of an emphasis. And once I take this off, you can see that adding the two together, it puts like a nice little bauble in the centre, and that can just be a nice little addition. So that is our graduated motif ruler number 9. Enjoy.